You are speeding down a highway at 200 kilometers an hour. You see a concrete wall ahead. You panic. You slam on the brakes. But the brakes are wired wrong. Instead of stopping the car, pressing the brake makes it accelerate. It makes the engine explode. April 26, 1986. Soviet Ukraine. 1:23 a.m. Inside control room number 4, a man named Leonid Topchinov reaches out with a shaking hand. He presses a red button labeled AZ-5. It is the emergency shutdown, the ultimate safety measure, the kill switch. He thinks he is saving the reactor. He thinks he is stopping the danger. He doesn't know that the button is a lie. He doesn't know that by pressing it, he has just pulled the trigger of a shotgun pointed straight at his own face. 2 seconds later, the world ended. This isn't just a story about a nuclear explosion. It is a story about the cost of arrogance. It is a story about a regime that feared the truth more than it feared radiation. From the arrogance of the control room to the bloody graphite on the roof. This is the story of Chernobyl. Welcome to the graphic ledger. To understand why a nuclear reactor exploded, you don't need to understand physics yet. You need to understand psychology. Meet Anatoly Dyatlov, the deputy chief engineer. A man with icy eyes and a voice like grinding metal. He was a bully. A tyrant who believed rules applied to other people. On that night, they were running a safety test. The irony is suffocating. They destroyed the plant while trying to prove how safe it was. The test was already delayed. The crew was tired. The reactor was unstable. The young operators, Okhomov and Topchinov, saw the warning signs. The computer printouts were screaming, "Stop." But Dyatlov didn't look at the screens. He looked at his watch. He wanted the test done. He wanted his promotion. "Do it, or you'll never work in this industry again," he barked. In the Soviet Union, you didn't say no to a boss, even if the boss was ordering you to drive off a cliff. So, they followed orders. They pulled the control rods out. They stripped the reactor naked. They turned a power plant into a bomb, and then, they lit the fuse. Here is the part the Soviet Union tried to hide for years. The RBMK reactor. The pride of the USSR. It was powerful. It was cheap. And it was fundamentally broken. Think of the control rods, the brakes of the reactor, as arrows. These arrows slide into the core to stop the reaction. They are made of boron, which slows things down. But to save money, the Soviets made a design choice. The tips of these arrows were made of graphite. Graphite doesn't slow the reaction down. It speeds it up. So when Topchinov pressed that AZ-5 button, the rods began to descend. But before the boron could stop the reaction, the graphite tips entered the core first. For a split second, the power didn't drop. It spiked. It surged from 200 megawatts to 30,000 megawatts in 4 seconds. It was hotter than the surface of the sun. The water turned to steam instantly. The pressure became infinite. The 1,000-ton concrete lid of the reactor was tossed into the air like a coin. 1:23 and 40 seconds. The roof is gone. The core is open to the night sky. A beam of eerie, beautiful blue light shoots up into the atmosphere. It's ionized air. It's death, glowing in the dark. But in the control room, denial was stronger than reality. Dyatlov stood in the dust and debris. He looked at the dosimeters. They read 3.6 Röntgen. Not great, not terrible. But that was only because the meters maxed out at 3.6. The real number was 15,000. He sent interns to look at the core. They came back with their skin turning brown, vomiting. "The core is gone," they said. "You're delusional," Dyatlov replied. "Get me water." He sent men to their deaths because he couldn't accept that he had failed. Firefighters arrived. They saw chunks of smooth, black rock on the ground. Graphite. One firefighter picked a piece up. "It's hot," he said. His hand would later rot off. They weren't fighting a fire. They were fighting a nuclear volcano with water hoses and canvas coats. While the firefighters died, the city next door was waking up. Pripyat, the atom city, home to 50,000 people. For 36 hours, the Soviet government said nothing. They didn't want to cause panic. They didn't want the West to know. So, they let the children play outside. That Saturday morning was warm. People opened their windows. They saw the smoke. They tasted the metallic air. On a railway bridge just outside the city, people gathered to watch the beautiful rainbow-colored flames rising from the reactor. Legend calls it the Bridge of Death. It is said that everyone who stood there that night eventually died. It wasn't until a sensor at a nuclear plant in Sweden, over 1,000 kilometers away, detected the radiation, that the Kremlin finally admitted something was wrong. Only then did the buses arrive. A line of 1,000 buses stretching for kilometers. "Take only your documents," the soldiers shouted. "You will be back in 3 days." Another lie. They would never return. They left their pets. They left their photos. They left their dinners on the table. In 3 hours, a bustling city turned into a tomb. But the horror wasn't just in the city. It was growing in the basement. Deep underneath the shattered reactor, something new had been created. The intense heat had melted the nuclear fuel, the sand, the concrete, and the steel into a radioactive lava called corium. It flowed like magma through the pipes and burned through the floors. It settled in a steam corridor in the basement. They called it the elephant's foot. A wrinkly, gray mass of solid death. Just looking at it for 300 seconds meant certain death. It was so radioactive that when scientists tried to photograph it using a mirror around a corner, the radiation ate into the film itself. It is still there today. Still warm. Still deadly. A monster sleeping in the dark. To contain this monster, they needed an army. The fire was out, but the radiation remained. The roof was covered in graphite debris, the most radioactive place on planet Earth. They tried to use robots from Germany and Japan. The robots drove onto the roof and died instantly, their circuits fried by the gamma rays. So, the Soviets used the only resource they had plenty of: men. They called them the biorobots. 3,828 men. Soldiers. Reservists. Fathers. They wore handmade armor made of lead sheets. They looked like medieval knights of the apocalypse. The job was simple. Run out. Shovel one load of radioactive debris over the edge. Run back. They had 90 seconds. If they stayed longer, they died. Many absorbed a lifetime dose of radiation in those 90 seconds. They can taste the metal in their mouths. They can feel the pins and needles on their skin. The egg basket toss. 1 shovel. 2 shovels. Run. For a medal and a bonus of 100 rubles. They saved Europe, shovel by shovel. And then, the state forgot them. Valery Legasov, the scientist sent to investigate. He recorded his tapes in secret, hiding them from the KGB. He knew the truth. It wasn't just operator error. It wasn't just Dyatlov. It was the cheap graphite tips. It was a secret kept to save face. The Soviet Union had built a machine that couldn't explode, and when it did, they blamed the men who pushed the button, not the men who designed it. Legasov had a choice. Lie to the world and be a hero of the state, or tell the truth and become a pariah. He chose the truth. 2 years after the disaster, exactly to the day, Legasov hanged himself. His suicide was the final message. A message that forced the Soviet Union to fix the other reactors. The city of Pripyat is still there today. A ghost town. An amusement park that never opened. A Ferris wheel rusting in the silence. It is a monument to what happens when truth is ignored. The graphic ledger records debts. And at Chernobyl, the debt was paid in human lives. The reactor didn't explode because of physics alone. It exploded because of lies. And as Legasov said, every lie we tell incurs a debt to the truth. Sooner or later, that debt is paid. This is the graphic ledger. See you in the next entry.